Hello, this is Ben119 and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a Pikmin 4 challenge. So I'm going to be playing on the demo because the full game isn't out yet. And the challenge I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be getting everything in the demo. So I'm going to be 100% in the demo, which is harder than it sounds because there's a lot to do in the demo. And I'm going to be doing it in only 3 Pikmin days, which is pretty tight. And I just want to commentate it. I also want to double this video as a Pikmin 4 review so far and as like a speculation to what's to come, because there's going to be a lot of downtime in this run where I am able to talk about the game and my first experience with it and what I think of Pikmin 4 compared to the other games. So we're going to get into the run. So this video is going to cover all 3 days. I've got all 3 days separate on my channel without commentary if you want to watch them, but if you want to watch a video with commentary, watch this full video. So on day 1, there's not that much to talk about because it's mainly tutorial stuff. There's no timers, there's no like insane amounts of multitasking, it's just getting around the game. So I really like how you start the game in a house. It's really cool. I honestly thought you'd find the house level way later on in the game, but it's one of the first things you actually do, so it's really cool to see that. You get to play as Olimar and you get introduced to these Pikmin. And you get to run around this room, find some Pikmin, and then you have to fight this like mini boss, and then you can move on with the rest of the game. I'm not going to be showing off cutscenes in this run because even though it's not really a speed run, I am trying to get through it as fast as possible. The final time of this run was 1 hour 17 minutes, which is pretty good. I know 100% runs are about 20 minutes quicker than this, probably more now. So it's not that insane, but also what I did do that other 100% runs don't do is I collected every single Pikmin, I collected every single nectar egg, like I made sure to get every single little thing that's in a cave. So I made sure to cover like everything that was possible in the demo. There was a few small things I didn't do above ground, like I didn't collect every single enemy corpse and I don't think I collected every single crystal. I technically would have had time, I think, if I routed it a bit better, but I decided not to because I didn't see the point. But I did also collect the blue onion, which is actually possible to collect in the demo, even though it looks like you have to exploit it. I'll talk about that when I get to it though. But this is the first mini boss, so I don't actually know what he's called. He's just a spiky boy. So what you have to do is you have to wait for him to shoot his spikes and then charge your Pikmin into him. This run also has 0 Pikmin deaths as well, just to let you know. So there will be no Pikmin dying. There we go. So I killed him. So that's quite easy to do. And now we'll move on to the other captains because that is the end of Olimar's point. So far with Pikmin 4, I think it's a really good game. There's a few things I don't like. Very small things. For example, I don't like how the cursor automatically locks onto everything. I wish there was a way of turning it off in the options. It would have been a huge deal if you could have done that, and it would have meant a lot to me, but sadly there's no way of doing that in the demo. Hopefully in the full release you can do that. I personally just don't like the fact it locks onto everything, especially being a speedrunner who sometimes just wants to lock onto certain things. It's quite inconvenient. As a casual it is really good and it does make fighting enemies really easy. The other problem I have with the auto lock on is sometimes it takes the challenge out of fighting certain enemies. For example, you'll find shear grubs, like the shearwigs that fly in the air. And in the original game, it was kind of challenging to fight them because you had to like throw your Pikmin at a certain angle to hit them out the air. But now your cursor just automatically locks on and you just have to spam the throw button. So it's a very beginner friendly game. I can completely understand why they're going down this route, because they're going to be getting a lot of new players coming into the Pikmin series from Pikmin 3 Deluxe. So they don't really want to make the Pikmin games as hard as Pikmin 1 or Pikmin 2. I recently replayed the HD remakes of Pikmin 1 and 2 if you're wondering. I doubt I'll be making content for them, but I was surprised at how difficult Pikmin 2 is. I haven't played Pikmin 2 in a few years, and replaying that, it's honestly surprising how hard the last 2 caves are, the Hall of Heroes and Dream Den. But yeah, I think Pikmin 4 is going to be a fairly easy game. I think it's going to have some hard points in it. I think so far, judging from what I've seen so far of the game in other gameplay and from the demo, I do think that it's going to be harder than Pikmin 3 for sure. However, I don't think it's going to come close to Pikmin 2, and I don't think it's even going to come close to Pikmin 1 either in difficulty, but that's completely fine. I think it's going to be difficult in a different type of way. There's going to be a lot more puzzles. The game is even though it's a Pikmin game, there's a lot of new stuff to it, which is great. Like, you have the dog, you have the mechanic where you can ride along on the dog, You can swim after a few Pikmin days. You have to let the dog grow up to a certain size by passing a few days of time. Luckily, you don't need the swim ability to complete this whole area, so you can get away with doing this area in just 3 Pikmin days. If you're wondering, on day 3, the dog grows to a size where you can ride on him, and on day 5, the dog grows to a size where he can swim, or he stops fearing water at least. This game, I think I mentioned it, but this game has brought back caves, which I was very skeptical when I heard about this, because from Pikmin 2, as much as I love Pikmin 2's caves, they can get extremely boring and tedious later on. But what I do love about Pikmin 4 Deluxe, not Pikmin 4 Deluxe, Pikmin 4 Demo, is that the caves seem like they're actually planned out. The caves aren't just randomly generated assets with certain enemies that are always in certain sub-levels. Instead, what we've got multiple caves that have been planned out. We've got sub-levels that have been planned to be played a certain way. So that means that the level design overall is going to be much better. The caves are going to have much more creative puzzles in them rather than just copy and paste assets that you've seen in other caves. The enemy placement should be interesting. Something I didn't like about Dream Den in Pikmin 2 is, even though it's such a challenging cave and I have a lot of respect for it, some of the enemy placements just seemed unfair. Like, you have the Hall of Heroes, which I think is a perfect cave. It's like a huge boss rush of everything, and it really tests your ability to fight every boss, and it makes you keep all your Pikmin from start to finish, so you have to like be very resourceful. But with Dream Den, for example, what is hard about that cave is how everything's just placed in such an annoying way. It's so easy to just lose 50 Pikmin to just something stupid happening. There's just so many enemies that are just poorly placed. Like, for example, I think it's sub-level 7, which is like the death sub-level, which is what people I think know it as, where there's just blowhogs everywhere, there's snitch bugs everywhere, there's the snitch bugs that drop bomb rocks everywhere. So that whole sub-level is just really badly designed in my opinion. It feels more like a Kaizo level than a Nintendo level. But it's a good challenge, obviously, but yeah. So Pikmin 4, I think the game looks beautiful. I think the whole new art style and the new camera angle, I think it all looks amazing. I think it's great to have a Pikmin game that actually looks different to Pikmin 3. I think this whole game, even though it plays just like a Pikmin game, there's so much different to it that you can use the dog to carry stuff, for example, right here. So it's going to make multitasking interesting. I think later on it'll be interesting because there may be the option to have multiple captains on the field. So far in the demo, I've only had the option to have one captain on the field, so there's not been as much options for multitasking, but there's still a lot you can do. The areas seem great. I love how open and big the areas are. Even though you only get to explore like the one big main area that we'll be exploring on day 2 and 3, the area has got a lot to do. There's so many different treasures and caves and different paths. There's so many different ways of getting to different places, and that's just the first level. So I think so far I'm already very impressed with the level design of the game. I assume there's going to be multiple levels that are that good. I have no idea how many main maps there's going to be. I assume there's going to be more than 5. I'd like there to be more than 5. I have a feeling this game is going to be just as big, if not bigger, than Pikmin 2. Just from seeing the size of the demo. If the demo takes like an hour and 20 minutes to speedrun through, then the real game is going to be like 5 hours, if not more. That's for speedrunners even. Like, I mean for casuals, it's probably going to take like all week of constant playing the game to complete it. So yeah, so far the game's really, really good. I'm very impressed with the demo as well. They could have easily just threw out a demo that was unfinished. They could have thrown out a demo that just let you explore one little area. But instead they gave you access to a huge amount of different things. Not just the demo being long, but you've got access to different Pikmin colours, 4 different Pikmin colours. You have access to 5 different caves. You have access to multiple different enemies in different parts. So you have a lot of flexibility. You can like experiment with all the different game mechanics early on, even though the game isn't released yet, which I'm really glad about. The game does leave you wanting more though, like, because I think people worry if the demo is too long, then people won't buy the full game because they've got enough to do anyway on the demo. But I do feel like the demo is fun, but I still want the actual game. Like, this isn't like enough to keep me entertained for like the rest of the year. But yeah, it's making me question how good the speedruns are going to be for this game, because I've already seen speedruns of the demo. I already done speedruns of the demo. So yeah, that's going to be really interesting when the game comes out. I'm probably going to leave it a few weeks until I do any runs on YouTube. I'm probably just going to spend a week playing the game like casually and really enjoying the whole experience, because I have been waiting for this game since Pikmin 3. So I don't really want to rush the game on day one just so I can get a good speedrun time. However, I will be getting into speedrunning once the game settles down a bit, once the routes are in place for each area. I think I'll then pick up the game and I'll start like making my own route, or I could just follow the actual route. Who knows at this point. But yeah, something I'd really like is you can grow Pikmin in this starting area. So in every other Pikmin game, you obviously have to choose an area and then you go to it. But in this game here, you can actually just grow the Pikmin from the hub world before you even go into a Pikmin day. So yeah, I'm just using this as an opportunity to grow a few more reds, so then I have 20 reds instead of 13 on the field on the next day. Another thing I want to talk about, which I love, is how you can only have 20 Pikmin on the field at first. Something I found with the Pikmin 3 especially is once you grow 100 Pikmin, everything becomes easy and mindless. But with this game, you have to still strategically kill enemies. Because you're not able to have 100 Pikmin in your army, you have to like fight Bulbobs with like 20 or 30 Pikmin, which means having to be more strategic. It means having to be more skilled. Rather than just growing like 50 straight away and then just swarming it, there is a lot more planning that goes into place. Also, later in the game, you get the option to have more on the field. Even in the demo, you can have up to 40 on the field after you get 2 upgrades that both give you 10 extra each. Something I will talk about later on, but I will mention it now, is the fact you can upgrade the dog's abilities and you can upgrade your own abilities. For example, you can unlock the swarm whistle, like the horn that you blow and then the Pikmin just swarm towards things, which I think is really clever. I think it's good how you have to like unlock that. I like the idea of this Pikmin game having unlockables that you have to like upgrade with gems. It gives the gems a purpose rather than it just being extra treasure. You have to like think more about what you're going to upgrade. It becomes a bit like an RPG in a way on how you have to like upgrade certain stats. It's a really interesting turn on a Pikmin game when that's never been a thing. So yeah, this is day 2 right here. This is the main area. I'm just going to talk about this now. And as you can see, the sun timer is in the top left. In every other Pikmin game, the in-game timer has always been dots going across the top of the screen, and the sun would go across them as the day went on. But with this game, it's like a little gauge that goes across instead. I personally have no opinion on this. I think it's pretty cool. I do prefer the dots personally, maybe just because I'm a hardcore Pikmin fan that's used to that. But I have no problem with this system, absolutely. Like, it completely works, and you can still see how much time you've got left, so it works really well. I am not 100% sure how long a Pikmin day lasts in Pikmin 4. It feels like it's quite short, personally. It feels like it's about 12 minutes, so it feels like it's about the length of a Pikmin 1 Pikmin day, rather than a Pikmin 3 Pikmin day, which is closer to 18 minutes. I think it's 18.5 minutes. I think Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 2's Pikmin days, I think they're 13 minutes or 13.5. So I think this is around that. It could be less though. But yeah, something really cool you can do is you can move the base to that point. And that is something I do here in this run, because if I move the base there, it'll just make things easier later on when I'm carrying stuff back after this cave. So then the Pikmin won't have to go as far. It's a strat that I will be using a lot, is just moving the base to convenient places based on what I'm carrying. Same as Pikmin 2, in-game time doesn't pass when you're in caves, so if you strategically plan when you do each cave, you can collect loads of stuff in one day. Because I could spend like 10 hours in this cave, and I could come out of the cave and it'll still be the exact same time above ground. So it really doesn't matter how long you spend in the caves. I think it's really great to have that. I think it gives 2 different sides of gameplay. You've got like the more strategic, use your time wisely gameplay, which is above ground, and you have this type of gameplay, which is just collect everything as on the sub level and be really caring with everything. Right here, we're going to be getting our first ice Pikmin, which is really interesting to see them because I've seen them in the trailer and it's just great to actually be using them in the game. They seem like they'll have a lot of use for later on puzzles. They've got a lot of use in the demo already. They've really shown what they're capable of, like with freezing lakes and with freezing these crystals that you can like blow up with the dog or like destroy with the dog or whatever. They can also kill certain enemies. They can freeze big bulbs, which makes them easier to kill. There's a few other little things they can do, so it's just great to have them. I assume later on in the game there might even be more stuff they can do. So, like in Pikmin 2, enemies in caves will give you a set amount of money, so that's always good. So I'm also in this run, as well as collecting every treasure and every onion and every castaway, I'm also going to be collecting every single enemy corpse in a cave. So that means not using ice Pikmin to freeze the enemies, because there's a few enemies later on that are easier to kill with the freeze ability. So if I do that, I would lose the corpse, and because I lose the corpse, I wouldn't be able to get the maximum amount of like Pokos or money or whatever. Right here I just turned off the motion controls because I prefer to play without. Motion controls, I don't really have a main problem with them. I'm just used to playing without them. I just think the game handles a bit better because I'm just used to Pikmin 3. The dog, something I'm going to be doing later on with the dogs, I'm going to be upgrading his ability to carry stuff. Because the dog ends up like a purple Pikmin, he's able to carry like 100 Pikmin later on if you upgrade that ability and work on that. So yeah. As you can see, the cave here, it's confused because I've got more Pikmin out. But that's because you can find Pikmin in the cave. And even if you're only allowed 20 on field, it'll allow you to have as many as you want in the cave. But then once you go out of the cave, they'll all go back in the onion. So right here, I'm just using this extra time to make sure my Pikmin are flowered up. I'm just making sure this gets back. There we go. Again, I'm not like that fussed on in-game time. Because if I was, I'd be waiting over at the exit right now rather than going over here. Because that would save more in-game time. What this video is more about is it's more just showing how to beat the game in 3 days. So far with the above ground routing, if you just follow it as I do, and in future when I'm above ground I will be talking more about my routing for the day rather than talking about the game. It's just there's so much stuff I want to talk about first while we're in the early game territory. But later on when we're getting towards the end of the day and when we're on day 3, I will be talking a lot more about the routing and why I'm doing certain things and when I do certain things. So there you go, I'm just having to carry back this last crystal. While I do that, I'm just flowering everyone up so then everyone's faster. You can also get spicy sprays in this game. I didn't get any in this run because I was unlucky with RNG. But a way of getting it is you can farm berries like in Pikmin 2 and 3. And you can also, if you freeze an enemy with ice Pikmin and kill it, there's a chance of it dropping a spicy spray, so yeah. The cave also tells you how many treasures you got. It tells me I got 100%, so I can happily move on. So, we're going to be back above ground now, and something really cool is when you come out of a cave, it lets you choose what Pikmin you want with you. And also, when you enter a cave, it drags all the Pikmin on the field into the cave with you. So, say if there's a Pikmin carrying something back, it'll stop carrying that thing and be in your squad. So, it's a good way of getting everyone together. You don't have to gather everyone individually. It makes speedrunning fully easier. So, I decided to keep out all the Pikmin I had. I kept out my 10 ice Pikmin and my 20 red Pikmin. So, I'm going to go over this way. I'm going to kill this blowhog right here because he's in the way. So I'm going to throw a few reds, and as soon as he shakes off, I'm going to throw more reds on him, and that'll just kill him. There we go. I'm going to knock down this ball right here. You can use yellow Pikmin later on to carry that, but it's quicker to come over there now and knock it down and carry it. I'm going to go over here. So these things here, you probably saw me do it anyway, but you can break these with the dog's dash ability. Thing is, with the dog's dash ability, you have to wait for it to recover, so you have to kind of strategically use it. So right here I can use it again. Something quite funny happened here. He ran right in between both of them, which is pretty hard to do, and it's really annoying because I had to wait for him to like regain his dash so I could dash back into it. So right here there's a fruit. It's funny, when I first saw this fruit I'm like, oh my god, this is Pikmin 3 again. There's one of those things. I forgot what they're called in real life. I think it's is it a peach? Maybe. I think it's a peach. But yeah, it's a Pikmin 3 fruit. So there's all sorts of treasures in this game. There's fruit, there's things from Pikmin 2, there's new stuff. So yeah, there's a wide variety of things to get. So I'm just gonna knock down that bridge there. And here's our first big red Bulborb. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be freezing it with my ice Pikmin, and as you can see, he's completely frozen. So now that he's frozen, I'm just gonna get everyone to attack him, and because everyone's attacking him, he's able to die. And if you wait too long, he will unfreeze, so you want to make sure you do it like fairly quickly. I'm going to knock this off with the dog. I'm going to carry that in a bit. First I'm going to go around here to open up this shortcut, because this will then make getting around to this area much quicker. So when Pikmin carry stuff, they won't go around the long way. Also, the longer path has got some Bulborbs. There's another path I haven't shown yet, which I will show later on after the second cave. It's just not convenient to go around there right now, and it'll lose a lot of time. And plus, I'm obviously under the clock because I'm trying to get as much as possible. The reason this has to be split up into 3 days is because day 1 is obviously the tutorial. Day 2, the reason why you can't do everything in 1 day is even if you were like a complete god at routing, the dog isn't able to jump on day 2. The dog can only jump on day 3. So I do everything that's possible on day 2. And then once he gains the jump ability, I then use that on day 3. But day 3 is still quite a tight day, and even if you do everything really well, you'll still get to the very end with like the hurry up activating. So it is still a pretty tight thing to do. So I'm just going to knock down this other shortcut here. There we go. So what I'm doing here, you may be thinking, why don't I just enter the cave right now? And it's because I'm carrying back a treasure. And if I just do this while I'm waiting, the treasure will be closer to base when I come out of the cave. So there we go. I'm going to enter the cave now. So this cave is recommended for red Pikmin and ice Pikmin. I only have 28 red Pikmin. You can have 30 if you farm the other pellet in the world before. But I decided not to get the extra pellet because it loses a bit of time. So I'm going to have to go into this with 2 ice Pikmin. So just be careful your ice Pikmin don't die because there's a lot of fire. Personally, I think this cave is like one of the easiest caves in the game. I think these first few are really easy. So I can see that they're like trying to copy Pikmin 2 with having the different element recommendations, which is quite a good thing going into caves. Something I noticed later in the game is how you can only have 3 types of Pikmin out at a time. Maybe this is something that gets upgraded later on. But I noticed it because I had blue, yellow, red and ice Pikmin with me in the demo. And I tried to take all 4 out and it just wouldn't let me. It said I can only have 3 types on the field at once. So that was quite annoying. But maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe there's certain puzzles that they'll want you to do later on that require only 3 types. And you have to maybe swap the types around. I have no idea what to expect later on. But yeah, we just got yellow Pikmin. If you don't know what yellow Pikmin can do, they can break down electric gates, and they can also be thrown higher, and they can dig faster. So right here, this is a really good example of showing what yellow Pikmin can do. So this treasure up here that the reds wouldn't normally be able to reach, I can reach with yellows. So there we go, we can knock down this here. As I mentioned before, I'll also be collecting every single Pikmin that's in a cave, so that means all of the different sprouts, because there's multiple sprouts gathered around each sub-level of each cave. I'm also going to be collecting every single enemy corpse, and every single crystal that's inside a cave as well. Just as like an extra challenge, and also just to show off everything that's in the demo and everything that's collectible in each cave. I just think it's an interesting take on the 100% category. And I think it's a little bit different to what everyone else is doing at the moment, where they're just getting the treasure and they're not getting everything. I think you can still class getting everything treasure related 100%, and that's what I'd do if it was like the official category when the full game comes out. But I just prefer doing it this way right now, especially for this YouTube video. It works a lot better because you get to see everything, and I think that's kind of my job, is to show off everything as I'm talking about it, rather than just getting the necessary items. So I'm going to go through this gate here, and we've got a blowhog. So the gates, there's a lot of stuff from Pikmin 3 here. This game is obviously, because it's the 4th game, it's taken a lot from the 3rd game. So the gates are in the style of the 3rd game. I've noticed that with the electric ones and the sand ones. There's some things later on. There's like climbing walls that you can build with pieces. Something you can do with these crystals here is not just upgrade stuff, but you can also use the crystals to build bridges. This is really interesting to me because I thought that bridges, they just have like bridge piles like in the original game, like Pikmin 3. Because I know Pikmin 1 and 2, to build bridges, you have to basically knock the bridge out and you expand the bridge slowly with the Pikmin. With Pikmin 3, you have to find bridge pieces scattered across the map, and then you're able to bring all the pieces together and build the bridge. And with Pikmin 4, you have to throw the Pikmin where the bridge is, and they run back to the base, and they grab bridge pieces from the base. They trade in the diamonds for bridge pieces, and then they all go up to the bridge and start building it like they would in Pikmin 3. So nectar eggs can also have diamonds in them. Diamonds can also be found from killing certain enemies, from breaking down gates, and a few other little things. So yeah, it's really interesting. They're not just in piles. So there's like another element to finding them that's not just basic. I really like this camera angle right here where it like points, like it goes quite zoomed in. I think all these little details and little camera angles make the whole game more interesting. I like these fire pits as well. They look really cool and they're really easy to attack. Rather than just having the geysers, I think this system works better for having a fire hazard. It makes the hazard look more daunting rather than it just being a little flame that just spews out now and then. So there's some more yellow Pikmin right here, and there's also a captain. So that's a shortcut right there that I just opened with my yellows. I'm also breaking down every single gate in this demo as well, if I mentioned. There is one bridge that I'm not going to be building in the main world, and that's just because the bridge would take longer to build than it would to actually be practical. Technically I would have had time to build it right at the end of the day. I would have had just about enough in-game time, but I decided just not to because I didn't think it was important. I think when I do my full Pikmin 4 playthrough, I'm definitely going to be playing it for at least a week without making any content for it. But then I might be making a full Let's Play. I'll probably be doing speedruns, I'll probably be doing like reviews and everything, just a whole bunch of content. I mentioned that you can move the onion and you can move the ship in the overworld, but you can also do this in caves. And a good example right here is moving it to this place here. It makes such a difference having pre-organized sub-levels, because in the original Pikmin 2, again, like I said, all the sub-levels are all randomized. Like, they have certain elements that are definitely going to be there. For example, if there's going to be a bull bear, that bull bear is always going to appear on that same sub-level no matter what. But other than like main treasures and enemies that appear, everything else is random. All the paths are random. All the rooms are kind of random. So I like having it not random in this game because they're able to actually think, okay, this works better, this path leading to this works better. Because with it being random, although it's good because it's slightly different every time, sometimes you can end up with just really horrible layouts that end up just looking ugly or just not being practical. But with this, the game designer can plan out, okay, I want this to lead to that, and everything just looks good and plays better. There's a glint beetle right here, so glint beetles in caves drop these crystals instead of dropping pellets or nectar, which is quite interesting. Glint beetles above ground, there's one I know of, which is near one of the places you can move your base to, which I will be killing today. But other than that, I haven't seen many glint beetles in the demo. There's probably like some later in the game that you'll find. Something that isn't in the demo, which I have seen in other footage, which I can't wait to fight, is the baby snagrets. The baby snagrets are like the cutest Pikmin enemy out of like everything, and it just looks interesting. I assume there's going to be a scenario where there's going to be loads of little baby snagrets, and then there's going to be like a giant snagret that just pops out of the ground and tries to kill you for killing its babies. But yeah, that should just be interesting. So there you go, that's that cave completed. Again, Pikmin just join you. They don't have to like whistle all your Pikmin together, they'll just join you automatically in a cave. So we still have about half the day. We have just over half a Pikmin day, and we don't even have that much left to do on day 2. We have an electric gate to knock down, we have a few things to open up for day 3, but other than that, it's just cleaning up and getting a few extra treasures. And also getting the yellow onion and the other onion that is able to carry more Pikmin. Not carry more Pikmin, but lets you have more Pikmin out on the field. So yeah, that'll be good once that's done. And thinking about it, there is quite a lot to do when I actually say it like that, but it just doesn't take that long, is what I'm saying. There's not really any more caves that need doing, so the bulk of the day has already been done. I'd say 3/4 of the day has been done already. It's just cleaning up and getting more crystals. Technically, I'm getting more crystals than I need. I have 135, and that'll probably be plenty for like the rest of the demo, but I decided to just get more because I fancied it and I had the time to do it. So this shortcut is obviously very helpful. You can see why I've opened it now. I'm already using it a few times. So if we go around here, we'll see that one of the treasures is here. This is the treasure that I was talking about before I entered the second cave. I was saying that I was waiting to enter the cave because I wanted the treasure to be closer to base, and if I had entered the cave earlier on, then that treasure would have been a lot further away and it would have taken me longer to carry it back. So I technically saved time from delaying time earlier on. I've got a little bit of time to kill because my yellow Pikmin are breaking down the electric gate and it's going to take them a little while. But it's fine because we've got stuff to do. We can carry this back. We can get more of these crystals. And then I think I'm just going to work on the gate completely now because I want the gate to be opened as soon as possible from now. So we're just going to wait for these to come back. Something, I'm not sure if you noticed this, but in Pikmin 3, when a Pikmin is done with a nugget pile or a bridge piece pile, it goes back to the pile. But in Pikmin 4, when a Pikmin is done with a pile, or it's done building something, it will go straight back to the base. And also if you move the base, the Pikmin will go to where the moved base is instantly. The Pikmin won't be stuck, stranded where the old base was. The Pikmin will automatically just get teleported to where the new base is. So in terms of like accessibility, the game designers have been very considerate. They've thought, yeah, this is going to be a thing where the player has to move the base, so we're going to make sure that it's as smooth as possible. We're not going to make it awkward where the player has to go back and get the Pikmin from the old location, because that'd probably be pointless. If a base gets moved while something's being carried, the Pikmin will just go and try and carry it to the other base. It can be a bit awkward, and later on day 3 you will see some weird routing where I move the base, and that's just so that later on in that day the Pikmin will have a better path back to the base without them going for a certain base then going for a different base. So yeah, right now I'm just going to move down this other box so then the Pikmin can get back to this point easier. And then I will be killing this Bulborb once I have some more Pikmin with me. So I'm just going to head back to base and get these Pikmin. Because I have the time to do that. And because I need more Pikmin for the Bulborb. As you can see, there's more sprouts, and that's because my ability to hold 40 Pikmin has happened. Before I could only carry 30, but because I carried back that other onion, I could now carry 40. It's really weird because you'd think carrying that back would allow you to hold more Pikmin in the onion, not hold more Pikmin outside of the onion, but that's just how video games work. It would make more sense if it meant the maximum inside the onion increased. But yeah, I almost lost a Pikmin right here. As you saw, that little Bulborb almost ate one of my reds. But I noticed it in the last second, and I saved it. That can always happen. I noticed in Pikmin 2 especially. It's when you're fighting say you're fighting a bull bear. It's usually the little bull bears that eat the most Pikmin. You're so busy fighting the big one that you forget about the little ones behind him. And the little ones will end up eating your Pikmin and will end up just eating like 3 at a time, because there'll be 3 of them. And that's a way of losing a lot of Pikmin, so I'd just always be aware of the little creatures around you, not just the big ones. Usually what makes big creatures difficult in this game is not having one creature on its own, it's having multiple creatures around them that contribute to each other's abilities. I noticed this in Pikmin 2 especially. Like, I was talking about the sub-level with the snitch bugs and the blowhogs everywhere. Fighting a blowhog on its own is very easy. Fighting a snitch bug on its own is extremely easy. But fighting loads of them together in a weird layout with poison, with fire, with electric everywhere, you've got yourself a very tough challenge that you've got to plan out. And that can be very unfair. So that's what makes Pikmin games hard in my opinion. It's not the enemies, it's the way the enemies are placed, and it's the environments you put them in, and it's the limitations you put on the captain. Like maybe there's loads of snitch bugs that grab the captain, so maybe the captain isn't able to get too close. Maybe there's tons of other hazards like poison, so it's harder to get the Pikmin round. Because maybe to break a geyser you have to put a white Pikmin in front of a blowhog, and then you risk the white Pikmin dying, or you risk a Bulbob waking up. So I think that's what made Pikmin 2 so difficult, was having such tight areas of Pikmin, of creatures I mean. So right here, I'm just zooming out on the map. There's everything I got left to do. Other than a few little diamonds, there is nothing left I can possibly do. There's no treasures I can collect. There's no more paths I can open. There's no bridges I can build, because the game doesn't let you build bridges until day 3, which is really weird. And with day 3, that's when you unlock the jump ability. So what I did was I just did everything that was possible on day 2. And now I'm going to be doing everything else on day 3. So this is going to be like the big day where we get everything else that's left. We're also going to be getting the blue onion. So if you ever played the demo, you may have seen the blue onion, and it is actually possible to collect it 2 different ways. There is an easy way, which I'm going to be doing in this video, and there's also a really difficult way. Well, it's not like that difficult, but it takes ages. And what you can do is you can drop the onion down into the ice water and wait for the ice to melt, and then you can use the dog to push the onion out of the water. But the much easier way you can do it is you can upgrade the dog's ability, which is what I'm doing right now. So if you upgrade the dog's ability, he'll be able to carry something that is 20 times his weight. So he's like a double purple Pikmin. So you can carry something that weighs 20, even though normally you can only carry something that weighs 3. Again, I talked about these abilities. I love these abilities. I love how the game is more expansive than the originals, and there's things to upgrade, and there's reasons to collect these diamonds. It just makes the whole game a bit more immersive, and it gives a bit more strategy to how you play each playthrough. I assume in speedruns there's going to be a lot of strategy of what you upgrade, what you don't upgrade. Certain abilities might be worth upgrading, but maybe the time to get them just isn't worth it. I'm going to be getting the charge horn right now. There's so many other abilities I could buy, but I'm not going to buy them because I'd have less diamonds and I'd have to farm more in order to carry on. So I'm going to be buying the charging horn. There's so many other things. There's the treasure gauge. You can buy that other equipment that protects you from ice enemies. You can also buy a drone where you can scout out the area. Something I love about the areas, again, like I said, they're very open, they're very big areas. I just love the way the backgrounds look in them. I love the way you can point the camera and you can face like into the distance. I love how there's so much detail in the backgrounds. I love how open, like you can see something in the background and usually you can get to it. Like that's how open these maps are. And it's just really great to see that even in the demo. Again, I'm just so glad they didn't just put you in a little square box and just put a few things around. I'm glad they actually give you freedom to the whole game, and even give you the ability to carry on from that point when the full game comes out. So yeah, we got a very busy Pikmin day, so we're going to be getting out every single Pikmin right here. We're going to get like 10 of everything apart from 20 reds. And now we have the ability to ride on the dog, and we also have the ability to build bridges. So I'm going to ride on the dog because I feel like it's faster to ride on the dog, and you can also get everyone else to ride on the dog, so it makes it easier. So I'm just going to charge everyone onto here, and everyone's going to run around and build the bridge. So I'm just going to take a little breather while I do that. So yeah, it takes them a little while. Like, it's not instant. I assume if you have leaf Pikmin, they take even longer. But there we go, everyone's round and everyone's building the bridge, so that's good. So you have to get everyone to build it. It's an interesting concept. I do prefer having bridge piece piles. It just makes the game a bit more creative in how you have to find certain pieces for certain bridges. It's a fine concept though. I just don't think it's that challenging of a concept. It's more just a time consuming concept to build bridges rather than it being something you have to figure out. So in that way I think that's a little bit lazy, but it's still enjoyable. I'd rather there was bridges you can build with diamonds and there was no bridges at all. So what we're going to be doing now is a Dandori challenge. So these things are really weird. I find this whole Dandori thing to be a bit strange, personally. But what it is it's a little bit like a bingo battle. It's a cross between Pikmin 3's bingo battle and Pikmin 1's grow as many Pikmin as you can battle. And what you have to do is you have to basically get as many points as possible. You get points from collecting fruit, from collecting enemy corpses, from collecting pellets. And even though it's split screen, there's not a second player. The second player is a computer player. It's not like another player that I'm playing with in real life. So that's quite interesting to me, how they still have the split screen option. Because I'm not even looking at his screen, I'm just focusing on my screen. So what I'm doing right here is I'm just making sure to collect the tomato. It's really easy to win the Dandori challenge, this first one. Like, you can literally just do nothing like most of the time and you can probably still win just by collecting a few little items. I did get a platinum medal on this Dandori challenge, which I am going for all platinum medals as well in the demo because they're super easy to get in my opinion. So to get a platinum medal in this Dandori challenge you have to beat the computer by 100 points. Which is quite easy, to be honest. I think part of the strategy is also making sure the computer doesn't collect a lot of items. So it's a case of kind of sabotaging what they're doing. A bit like on Pikmin 3, how you bully your friend who is trying to carry back a part that you need. It's a bit like that on how you have to just bully the computer a little bit. You can also kill the computer's dog, which is quite funny. The dog does respawn. I think if the dog didn't respawn, it'd be like a really good strategy to kill the other person's dog, so then they had nothing to use to carry back treasures, or they had nothing to use to knock things down. I'm pretty sure the way that items work is it's pretty much however much the item weighs is how much it's worth. I think some of the fruits might be worth more or less. Pikmin are really convenient in this challenge. The Pikmin just come straight out of the onion, you don't have to spend any time plucking Pikmin. As you notice, you may be wondering why there's so much stuff, and it's because every like 30-ish seconds, everything spawns back, and more stuff spawns in. For example, as you can see, we've now got a blowhog, so the enemies get tougher and tougher as the challenge goes on. I assume with the Dandori challenges later on, it's going to get to a point where the enemies spawning is going to be like really difficult. There's going to be like bull bears everywhere, there's going to be cannon beetles, there's going to be like snagrets popping up out of nowhere. But I assume for the demo they just want to keep it nice and easy, so they're just putting in like little bullborbs and little blowhogs and stuff. The blowhogs would be challenging if we had different colours of Pikmin, but because we only have reds, then the blowhogs are like super easy because there's no danger of losing any. I'm just going to knock down this lime here. You can be strategic with the dog, because the dog can carry more stuff. You can get him to like carry the apple, for example, if you have his stat upgraded. So yeah, I'm way ahead of the computer. I still need to get a few more points if I want to get platinum, because I need to beat him by 100, and I only have 115 and he has 45, so I do need to grab a few more things. But other than that, I've won. I've completely owned him. There's no way he can even catch up in this last minute if he tried his very best and got everything on the map. So I will beat him by 100 easily. I will beat him by 100 and some more. So I don't really have a set route for this Dandori challenge. I probably could if I sat down and routed it, but I think this Dandori challenge is so ridiculously easy to do, platinum, that there's no need to even route it, in my opinion, because it's so free. As you can see, the pellets have come back, so I have like even more stuff I can just collect. Something that is annoying with the computer is the computer can sometimes drag your items back. Like this, he's trying to like drag my other items away with his dog to like lose me time, but yeah, we beat him by 117, so we beat him by a ton. And yeah, that's the first Dandori challenge. I like the concept. I think if the concept gets more interesting later on with more Pikmin colours and more complicated maps with more hazards, it'll become more interesting. I think they're just trying to show the concept off to beginners, and they obviously don't want to make it too hard for people who have just picked up the Pikmin games. So yeah, that's my opinion of Dandori Challenge. I think it's fine. I think it's good. But yeah, we're going to carry on, and we get a castaway as a reward. And now we're going to be collecting this fruit up here. So you need to use yellows to grab this because they can be thrown high enough. Little clue, the handle is also in yellow, so I think that's a little clue that you need yellow Pikmin. So I'm just going to get everyone to carry this pumpkin. Something I find weird about carrying stuff is if you have the max amount on it, you have to wait for them to pick it up before you can put any more on it. The game just thinks that you have to throw a certain amount, but the game also gives you the option to put more Pikmin on something, so then it can be carried quicker, which in speedruns is obviously like a thing that's going to be valued. So again, I'm going to be using the technique here where I wait for the treasure to get collected before I move the base. If I was to move the base right now, then yeah, it would be a big time loss. Something I realized is you technically don't need to move the base at this point. You can move the base a little bit later on, but it just makes collecting the strawberry a bit easier in my opinion, because the strawberry will go back on a different path. So we're going to enter this cave here, which is the industrial maze. This cave definitely reminds me of Clockwork Chasm from Pikmin 3, the mission Clockwork Chasm with the conveyor belts. And this cave also introduces a new concept into the game, which is something I've wanted in the trailer, and it actually gives you the ability to do this, and you can control the dog. You can switch characters and do 2-player puzzles. So as you can see right here, we're not able to get anywhere. But if we switch to the dog, let's wait for the cutscene, there we go, we can play as the dog. And we can like change the conveyor belts by pressing the buttons. So if we go down here, there we go. And everyone's joined back up. So the dog can dash on the conveyor belt, so you can dash over conveyor belts like in the opposite way, but the captain isn't able to do that, so you have to make sure the dog's with you if you want to go on opposite sides. So there we go. We're just collecting all these crystals in that part. This button here, you have to be a bit strategic with moving everything around. Pikmin will get stuck if they don't know where to go. Like right there, the Pikmin's a bit stuck, but he'll figure it out. Just going to use the yellows to get this piece, and then I'm going to be putting the other Pikmin on there. Just going to charge so it's quicker. And then any spare Pikmin I'm just going to put on that gate so then it can be knocked down. Right here I made sure to press that so then the conveyor belts would change. Something I did notice is I did mess up that treasure. I did lose a little bit of time on this sub-level because I have not practiced this sub-level many times. But there we go. Skateboard's being moved. And right here I'm going to have to move the conveyor belt in a minute. And something really funny happened. So what happened is I moved it too early and the Pikmin went back. And then I moved it too early again. So they just ended up going back and forth. And then my dog kept missing the button. So yeah, I lost a little bit of time there. But there we go. I have to trust the button because the other conveyor belt's incorrect. So I needed to make sure it is correct. So once the treasure gets in the ship, there we go. I'm going to enter the next sub-level. Once you see it in the top right, once you see like the extra cash appear, then you can like move on. Maybe you can move on a little bit earlier than that, but I just don't risk it, to be honest, because I don't quite know. I don't really want to enter the next sub-level without collecting the treasure, because then I'll have to go all the way back and get it again. So this sub-level is pretty cool. It's a little bit puzzly, because you've got to do a few things. You've got to like open up a certain gate. So while we're waiting for this moving platform, I'm just going to collect this treasure here, and I'm going to get on the moving platform. I really like how this game's got a little bit of a platformer element, how we got things like moving platforms, and we got puzzles that open gates. Like, I don't think in Pikmin 3 there is not a single puzzle where you have to press a switch to open a gate. I think that's a missed concept in the Pikmin world, having switches that open gates. It's just an obvious puzzle design that just hasn't been looked into. But it's good to see it in this game. You can take a little shortcut right here by jumping over this wall as the dog. It just saves a tiny bit of time from walking around. And there we go. We're going to get these Pikmin from the ship. And now we can take the left path, because before there was a gate that was blocking this path. And as you can see now it's been opened by the switch. So yep. There's an electric gate here that we're going to put our yellows on, and we're going to come back to it in a minute when it's been broken down. So while we're waiting for that, we're just going to kill this thing. It just disappeared on us. I think it will come back, so it's fine. We'll be able to kill everything. There we go. While they're pushing that box down, I'm going to move the base, just because it makes it easier. So the Pikmin won't go a different path. I'm going to open up this, and I'm going to carry back this castaway. While that's being carried back, I'm going to head over to the area down here, and the box has now been moved. While I'm waiting, I'm just going to be flowering up some Pikmin. The castaway's back. If you're wondering what the castaways do, in the main hub board, I didn't really show it off because I'm kind of speed running through this, but the castaways all do different things. Like, one of them is in charge of the Piklopedia, one of them's in charge of treasures, one of them's in charge of like flowers and is into like gardening. Another one is in charge of doing upgrades, and another one is in charge of doing upgrades for the dog. So all of them serve some kind of purpose, which is great to see. It's nice that you have to unlock those little things. So we go, just get these last few treasures. And there you go, that is this cave completed. So we're going to exit the sub-level by going in here. So I got a little medal here. If you're wondering what that is, it's because I got every treasure in a series. What that means is in the Piklopedia in Pikmin 2, there was the same thing where you'd have multiple items that were part of a set series, and then it would like highlight a different colour once you got them all. And this game just works the same in that way. So that's all that is. We're about 2/3 of the way through the run, by the way. And we're on day 3. So yeah, there's a lot still to go in this last third. This last third is probably going to be the most action-packed, with like the most treasure and the most stuff to do in caves. There's 2 main caves left to do, and there's a little mission mode type mission to do, which really reminds me of Collect Treasure. I think it's like another Dandori type challenge. I'm just going to move the base over to this point here. This just means that collecting a certain treasure after this cave is going to be quicker, so that's just going to be good. So we're kind of doing these 2 caves back to back. I find that routing these 2 caves back to back just makes the in-game time better. And it's a really convenient time to do both of them, in my opinion, with the actual map routing. There's a big bridge that needs building that you need 39 Pikmin to be building at once, which is cool, but I'm gonna be doing that later in the day, when all my Pikmin are together, rather than when my Pikmin are all doing different things. This cave is pretty cool, and this cave is a way of losing out on getting 100% of the possible gold in the demo, and that is because there's a Bulborb up there. And your natural instinct is to kill that Bulborb with Ice Pikmin. However, if you kill him with Ice Pikmin, he will not drop his corpse. And if he doesn't drop his corpse, that means that you have lost out on treasure. So it means that you have to kill him without Ice Pikmin, which is a bit more challenging, but it makes it interesting in my opinion. So yeah, we're just getting more Ice Pikmin now. And what we can do with these Ice Pikmin, I don't think I've shown it off yet, but we can freeze rivers. We can freeze like little lakes. There we go. And what we can do is we can now walk on the lake with other Pikmin. And then once you're done, you can whistle the Pikmin out of the lake, and then it'll turn back into water. So it has a lot of good puzzle opportunities. The bigger the lake, the more Pikmin you'll need to freeze it. There's one in the overworld that requires 30 Pikmin to freeze it. I'm sure later in the game there'll be some that require like 50 or even more. And I assume there's going to be benefits and there's going to be disadvantages to also freezing things up. So as you can see right here, I'm killing the Bulborb without the Ice Pikmin, just so that I make sure everything's good. And I'm also going to be breaking this with Ice Pikmin. You can break this with regular Pikmin, you can also break it with the dog, but I probably lost a bit of time. I probably should have done that later with the dog, but it's completely fine. Now we're going to be killing these little Bulborbs, and there's some more Ice Pikmin over here, and we can open up this shortcut. The thing is, the dog cannot jump, so you have to go up this slope with the dog instead. The dog can also whistle Pikmin, which is something people might not know about. And it's interesting how these climbing walls work, because yeah, you can climb them, but the dog can't. So it means that you can do stuff up there, but you're not able to do stuff that requires the dog's jump ability. So it'll make puzzles later in the game interesting, because you'll have to find 2 ways around to certain areas. Like this, for example, where you get up with the captain, then you have to knock the slope down in order for the dog to get up, because there's requirements up here that need the dog. Like these pots over here. Interesting fact about this sub-level, I didn't show it off because the conditions in the game were like really weird in order to show it off. But if you have absolutely 0 red Pikmin, this cave will have a red candy pop bud where you can make more red Pikmin. It's the only candy pop bud in the demo, I'm pretty sure, that shows up. It's just a funny little detail how there's even candy pop buds that show up if there's none of a certain colour. I think the same thing happens in Pikmin 3. If you're fighting the shaggy longlegs, like on day 3, there'll be candy pop buds for red Pikmin, which is really weird because those candy pop buds don't appear anywhere else, but on that certain day, under certain conditions, they do. So there's just little weird things in Pikmin games that just fascinate me like that, like little design choices that developers made. So on this sub-level, we're going to be fighting like a little, I wouldn't call him a mini-boss, but I'd just say a difficult enemy. So this guy is like a bull, he just like charges, but before he can even charge, I killed him with all my reds, so it's completely fine. Right here I'm just going to break this, and this gives me more access to ice Pikmin, and I'm going to be throwing a load of ice Pikmin on this thing here, so I can break it. While that's being broken, I'm going to charge into this with my dog, so I can knock the captain down. You could probably grab him with yellow Pikmin if you brought any into the cave, but I didn't. And once you're carrying everything back, you can do this parkour up here, and you're able to grab this treasure, which is hanging from the ceiling. That requires 10. So yeah, nice little puzzle, nice little sub-level. I love how these caves are all really short in the demo. I'm sure later on in the game you're going to be getting 10 plus sub-level caves, like in Pikmin 2. However, I do love these little 2 sub-level caves that just introduce you to different concepts. Every cave is a different concept. The first one introduces you to ice Pikmin. The second one introduces you to fire and yellow Pikmin. The third one I've done introduces you to the concept of using the dog and the captain separately. And also conveyor belts. This fourth cave introduces you more to like ice Pikmin and their water freeze ability and climb walls. And the fifth cave introduces you more to, I guess you could say, more ice Pikmin stuff and puzzles that require ice Pikmin and other types of Pikmin. So it's like a cave that requires different abilities. So there we go, that is everything collected in this cave, and we're able to leave. So that's the person I rescued. Investigation complete. So we only have one more cave left, but we still have a lot of the day to go. There's still a lot of stuff to do. There's like tons of treasures. I think there's like 5 or 6 treasures I need to still collect in the area. There's a big bridge I need to build. And there's also the blue onion, which I'm going to be getting, which the blue onion is going to take a lot of time to get, which is why it makes this day so tight. Doing this day without the blue onion is not really tight at all. But doing it with the blue onion will make it so much tighter because you've got to build like an extra climbing wall. You've got to grab the blue onion, you've got to move it to the base. You've got to also do all of that while nothing else is going on because you've got all your Pikmin occupied. So we're just going to throw all of our Pikmin on this ball here. And they're going to be carrying it back to that base there. You don't need to worry about waiting around for them because they'll get to the base really quickly. So while they're doing that, I'm just going to head back over here. And a little mistake I made here. It's not really a major mistake or anything. It did lose me a bit of time though. Right here, grab this strawberry with the dog. Do not grab this strawberry with the ice Pikmin, because it makes the whole thing slower. If you grab it with the dog, the thing is the dog is like unoccupied anyway for this whole set of time, but the ice Pikmin are things that you need with you. So I had to like lose a bit of time here. It's a bit annoying. I had to go all the way back. Probably lost me about 15 seconds, maybe 20, which is like a massive cut of in-game time. But I still made the time requirement for getting everything in one day. It was a bit tighter than it should have been, but I still made it. So right here you can freeze this lake with your ice Pikmin. So you need to have 30 to freeze the lake, and you have exactly 30 with you with the route I've done so far. And I'm going to be using all my reds to build this. I swear swarming into it makes the reds run faster. As you can see, the reds are running faster than the captain can run. So that's quite funny. So while they're doing that, we're just going to be leaving the dog right here, because we do not want the dog to get in the way. You can disband Pikmin. I don't like the fact disbanding takes forever. You can also move the disband button onto a different control. It's like a little shortcut you can move it onto, which is really helpful to have, because I assume disbanding is going to be a helpful option later on in the game, like it is in every other Pikmin game. So yeah, I'm just going to leave my reds over here because I don't want anyone else with me, because what I'm about to do will require using ice Pikmin. Ice Pikmin can also swim, but the ice Pikmin aren't able to be thrown in the water. So they can swim, but they're not able to carry stuff or be thrown in the water. So it's quite interesting. So what that means is I can throw my reds over here, and I'm going to take my ice Pikmin with me. So I'm going to whistle everyone out, and this lake is going to like turn back into a regular lake. But just before it does, we're going to climb up this wall. So what we're now going to do is going to kill this blowhog. This blowhog is surprisingly difficult to kill, considering we've got 30 Pikmin and they're all flowered up. It just takes a little while to kill, but you just have to be patient. This fight can be horrible. Sometimes he can set Pikmin on fire. What happened to me once is he set all my Pikmin on fire, they all ended up dying, and I fell down. And I had to like reset because it's really annoying. But that time it didn't happen. Everyone was fine. So right here is the blue onion. So I have a feeling you're not intended to get the blue onion in the demo, but that we found a way around it, and that was by upgrading the dog's ability to carry it. And to also drop the onion down to this point here. So you want to carry the onion all the way to this point. So once it drops to this ledge, whistle it. Then what you want to do is throw your Pikmin into the water. So refreeze the lake with your ice Pikmin. And something you can do with the dog, you can actually reach this ledge with the dog, which is something you might not have known. So we're going to be taking everyone with us. We might as well take our reds to speed it up. So what you want to do is you want to jump up here and collect the onion. As you can see, the in-game time is about halfway. I'd say if your in-game timer is at about the halfway point, then you're on pace to do this in one day. If your in-game timer is at the 5th dot along instead of the 4th dot, which is what mine's at, you might not have time to do everything in one day. But if your in-game timer is at the point where it is now, then you should be fine if everything else goes well. So there we go, we're carrying back the blue onion. We're just going to wait for it to get off the ice just in case it glitches out, and then we're going to whistle everyone else and carry it back. And there we go, that's how you get blues in the demo. It's really cool. I really like getting the blues in this category because I kind of see that as true 100%, because if you don't get the blues, the area doesn't say 100% on it. So there we go, blue Pikmin. We just plucked him right now, and there we go. So there's nothing to do with the blue Pikmin apart from collect a few crystals in the water. There's no puzzles that are related to blues in this area. I assume there'll be a lot later on in the game. But there we go, we're just going to put him away because he's a bit useless. I'm just going to get out other Pikmin instead. So yeah, now we're going to head on to the bridge. So we're going to be building the big bridge that I was talking about that requires 39 Pikmin to build it. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to be killing a few little enemies that are in the way, and then I'm going to send everyone to build it. There we go. I'm going to get off the dog and then swarm the bridge. And there we go, now that everyone's busy building the bridge, I have plenty of time to move the base. So while everyone is heading to base, once everyone's grabbed a bridge piece from the base, I'm going to move the base to a different location. And that's so that when I'm collecting treasure later on, the Pikmin take a better path. Because I want the Pikmin to go to this base here because it's closer to where I want to be going after they collect it to this base. Sounds a bit complicated, but it's not. And I've got a load of time to kill while they're doing this. So I thought I might as well go over here and move the base and run back while they're doing it. So there we go. You just want to be efficient with your time. You just want to make sure you multitask and you get multiple things done at once. That's the key to beating any Pikmin game in a set amount of Pikmin days, is to do like 3 things at once or 2 things at once. Because then you can have like double the amount of things done in half the time. That's just how Pikmin logic works. And the game encourages you to multitask. It even says about Dondori and multitasking and balancing out different things at once. So there we go, we've got to the other side of the bridge, and we're going to be killing these bulbs because they're in the way. And then we're going to run up this hill here, and it's actually a really cool like shot here with the wheel. I didn't really pan up quick enough, but if you pan straight up as you're running up that hill, it looks really cool because you can see like the wheel. That's just a really good background detail. And we're going to be entering our final cave. What is unique about this cave is the exit to the cave takes you out in a different place where you would enter the cave. Which is very unusual, because usually you exit a cave and you end up in the exact same place. But with this game, it's pretty cool how that's a case, how you have to sometimes complete a cave in order to get to a new part of the area. It's like a puzzle in a way. So there we go, we're just going to get access to more ice Pikmin, because again I'm collecting every single Pikmin in the demo that is available in the caves. I'm also going to be breaking this because I'm pretty sure there's a treasure in here. Good strategy, throw about 7 or 8 ice Pikmin on the thing that needs breaking, and then charge it with the dog, and that should give the dog just the right amount of time to charge up as it's being broken, and then he can just charge straight into it. So you can see 8 Pikmin, as soon as he's charged up, let go. And there you go, you can break it instantly, and it just works really well. These Pikmin have already here when I entered the cave. It's quite funny how they were just already in the lake, freezing it. This is maybe because the game might not intend you to do the other cave that with ice Pikmin earlier on, so it's just giving you more ice Pikmin in case you don't have enough. Because it's easy for you to do things out of order. So there we go. Sub-level 2. And again, this cave has 2 sub-levels. The deepest cave in this demo has got 2 sub-levels. It's quite funny that. In total, in the whole demo, there's 10 sub-levels, because the one in the main hub world has 1 sub-level, and every other cave in this world has 2 sub-levels, apart from the first one that has 1. So technically there's 10 sub-levels to explore in the demo, which is a lot of content. So right here, I'm just going to be breaking this, and then I'm going to be breaking this flame here. And there we go. And we can now travel across here with ice Pikmin, and we can now push this down so that Pikmin can get up quicker. There we go. Right here there's a little ramp that needs building that requires 22 Pikmin to build it, so I'm just going to throw 22 onto here so then they can go build it. While they're doing that, I'm just going to collect this nugget pile. I'm going to collect this little jigsaw piece. And there we go. Once that's been done, I'm just going to break this with the dog. Bang, there we go. And I'm just going to let them do that. And also, I'm going to break this down. Throw 3 on there. Throw a few more on there. Press this switch. This switch opens up a little shortcut, and then I can charge into this from above there. Charging from above looks really cool. It's a little time save as well, how you can just fall down as you're charging. It's not like it stops you on the edge of a ledge. I think the ability to jump is really interesting. I've not really thought about this, but you can't jump in every other Pikmin game. You can throw captains onto other ledges, but your captain isn't able to jump with Pikmin. So it just changes the gameplay a bit. It just makes gameplay a bit more interesting, in my opinion. So every cave in the demo follows a bit of a formula. There's a few treasures on each sub-level, and there's also a castaway on the final sub-level that needs collecting. So there we go. There should be about 10 minutes left of this run. We're getting quite close to the end now. We've only got to collect a few more above ground stuff, and then we've got to do the final mission type Dondori cave thingy. So there you go, that's all 5 caves completed now. And we still have a little bit of in-game time left. You'll see we have about a third of the day left, and with that final third of the day we're going to be killing a mini-boss, and we're going to be collecting 4 more treasures. And we're going to be carrying it back to where I moved the onion to, because I moved the onion to a more convenient place. And that is exactly why I moved it there. It's so the Pikmin can carry it back to that onion instead of the other location. So I'm just making sure to get out the right amount of Pikmin for this. Technically I don't need to move this, but I'm going for everything completed in the area, so I thought I might as well just move that little slope. I have time. So there we go, we got this little porcupine enemy here. If you don't know what you're doing, he can be a bit tough, but if you know what you're doing, he's pretty easy. The strategy I like to use there is to freeze him. I like to wait until he's shot off 2 sets of spikes, then I want to freeze him. You could probably do it with him setting off 1 set of spikes, but you just have more risk of Pikmin being stabbed to death. But then once he's got rid of all his spikes, you can then charge into him and kill him. Important you don't move the base when you come out of that cave. It's really tempting to move the base because it looks like it'll be a quick place to just store stuff, but it's not. So I'm going to be collecting this dragon fruit right here. That requires 20. Make sure you get exactly enough, because if you don't, you have to go all the way back round here and you might not make it in time. I throw 3 Pikmin on this treasure here. I think putting 3 on is about right for speed. And right here is a hidden treasure that I actually missed on my first playthrough of this hack. not hack, of this demo. I'm too used to ROM hacks. But yeah, I completely missed this treasure until I realized that I only had completed 98% of the demo, and then I realized that I had to go back and get this to 100% it. So yeah, well done Nintendo for fooling me. I completely missed one of your treasures. So yeah, that's quite funny to look back on. That I completely missed that treasure the first time playing it. Well, it is quite hard. Like, you wouldn't think to like just dig in a random spot, because I'm used to doing that if I only have white Pikmin on me, but because I didn't have white Pikmin, I didn't do that. But yeah, everything's now being carried back. This lake here needs freezing in a minute, and you need 20 ice Pikmin to freeze it. As you can see, we've got 1 dot of time left. So we have just about enough time to carry everything back, do the final Dandori trial, and then carry back the castaway from the trial. We have just about enough time to do everything. So that's what I was saying before about the halfway point. If your timer is over the halfway point as you're collecting the blue onion, you might not have time. But if your timer is at the same as what mine was, or even a bit quicker, then you'll have plenty of time. So just waiting for that to go in. There we go, get everyone with me. Put away some of my reds, and then take out ice Pikmin instead. So get on the dog again. Getting on the dog I just find to be so much easier, because everyone just groups up in a little tight squeeze rather than everyone running around by themselves. So there you go, this lake requires 20 because it's like kind of big, but it's not as big as the other one. So just leave them there, and then you can climb up and do this challenge. It's considered a cave, but it's more of a it's called Dandori Daycare. I knew it was a Dandori type thing. This is the final thing I do in my route for the 3-day completion. And yeah, the 3-day completion, I would recommend it to anyone who wants to challenge himself with the demo before the actual game comes out. It's not that hard of a challenge. It's nowhere near as hard as completing Pikmin 3 in 10 days or completing Pikmin 1 in like 8 days. But it is still a little bit of a challenge that will get you thinking about the game and will get you better at Pikmin 4 for when the actual game comes out. So yeah, this really reminds me of Collect Treasure. It's just a little map. You gotta collect all the corpses, you gotta collect all the different treasures in the set amount of time. It's a pretty basic concept, and this is the route that I do. So I go around this way, and then I'm gonna break this here. I'm gonna collect this fruit over here. The funny thing is, you'll gather more Pikmin along the way, so it may look like you don't have many Pikmin with you, but you'll then go into an area that then unlocks more Pikmin, so it all balances out in the end. So there we go. I just put a few more on that nugget pile. Collect that dead Bulborb. Put a few more there. That wall is not going to get broken for a little while, but it will get broken eventually, so don't worry. Just going to take a little shortcut around that wall there. We're just going to jump around it with the dog, as you saw. Quite interesting how you can do that. Right here, we're just going to go around here. Ignore that big Bulborb for now. Get these Pikmin. Get them. There's an enemy down here that needs killing, so we're going to be taking the reds from up here, and then we're going to fight him. So there we go. Just over 3/4 of the way killed. And he's dead. So now we just need to finish the rest of the wall, so I'm just going to put everyone else on the wall because that's kind of a priority right now. There we go. And now I'm going to focus on collecting because I've killed pretty much everything. I just need to kill the big Bulborb. And then I will have killed all the threats. I'm going to get the dog to collect this because it's a big treasure. So rather than wasting 12 Pikmin collecting it, I'm just going to get one dog to collect it. So all my other Pikmin can carry little things. There we go. And now I have no risk of losing any Pikmin. I've done it deathless. There is no risk of losing anything because there's no more enemies to be killed in the demo from now. I'm just going to open up this little shortcut right here because there's a few treasures. I'm going to actively stop these. As you could see, I whistled the dog so we go slower. That's just so that I could get him to go around the quicker route. And there we go. A few more little things to clean up. So we're going to be doing the nugget pile in a minute when these things get back. As you can see, the medals are all worth different things. I'm pretty sure 90 is what a bronze medal is worth, and then it will go up to like 100, then like 140, then 150, or whatever platinum is. I'm pretty sure platinum is 150 or 140. I ended up getting platinum in this by like a minute and a bit left. So yeah, I would say this is pretty easy. Again, it's the first mission. It's rated 1 star out of 5 in difficulty, so I assume they'll get harder as they go along. But as a Pikmin speedrunner, this was very, very easy. Even on my very first attempt, not knowing the map, I got platinum. And I assume most people did anyway, because it was quite easy. But again, it's the demo. It's really hard to judge the difficulty of the full game just from seeing the easiest first level, because I assume the difficulty will go way up. If you look at the first level in Pikmin 2, the first level in that game is very easy, but later on the difficulty gets absurd, almost to a Kaizo level of difficulty. But there we go, we completed that with like a minute and a bit to spare. And the final thing we have to do to 100% the area is just carry back this final castaway. And once we do that, we will have 100%ed the demo. So yeah, that is how you complete the demo in 3 Pikmin days. I've loved talking about Pikmin 4. I really can't wait for it to come out on the 21st. I should be on it like pretty much all day if I've got nothing else to do that day. I'm not sure quite yet if I will or not. But if I don't, even if I do, I'll still be on it like later that day. But there we go. Carry back the castaway. I just stopped the castaway here because I want to carry him back with flower Pikmin. There we go, that just makes it a little bit quicker. If you have spicy spray, you can obviously use your spicy sprays efficiently to carry things back quicker. And there we go, hurry up has just appeared. So as you can see, it's kind of a tight day. It's kind of tight to fit everything in one day, but it's certainly possible with a good route and with good gameplay. You don't even need to be perfect. You can still make mistakes here and there and you can do it, but it's a really good goal, again, like I said, for beginners to get into. If you really want to get into Pikmin speedrunning, this is a really good little goal to set yourself to complete this area in 3 days. To complete the demo in 3 days even. And there you go, that's everything collected in the demo. That area is 100%ed with all the treasures, all the onions and all the castaways. So overall, Pikmin 4 is an amazing game so far. I really can't wait for the full version to come out. When the full version does come out again, I will be making content for it, I'm sure of that. And yeah, that's about it for this video. I'm going to leave it there and I'm just going to let the rest of it play out. My final time was 1:17:10, which is a pretty decent time. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.